Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to my life, beginnings and always. I forgot the name of the game, but don't worry. But it's our life. And let's just continue, shall we? We've gone through the ghost, barbecue, runaway, and sleepover. So let's just continue on through the library. Every year, the Sunset Bird Memorial Library held a summer reading program. Your moms and Lizzie were a big fan of it. Mom and Mommy because it encouraged reading, and Lizzie because she could win prizes. When it came to what you thought of having to read a bunch of books and then going to the library with competitive Lizzie, you loved it. Each time it had been one of the highlights of your summer. Getting to hang out with Lizzie and Shilio and learning new stuff was a lot of fun, even if Lizzie was super intense about it. You and Lizzie went with Cilio before, and this year you brought Cove too. His dad had been so over the moon about Cove being included that he'd driven all four of you. Your mom's and you never had been in Clove's dad's car before. It seemed a lot shinier than your mom's. After hurting the roof inside, Mr. Holden gave you all a wide wave with the arm that he had a stingray on it. Have fun, kids. Stay in the side of the librarian to hear. I wish I could watch you in action, but your poor old dad has to finish up some work.
I got it.
Though I'm sure that won't get in the way. Heck, I'll probably hold you kids back. There's appointedly no reply from his son over what is likely meant only as a joke. Clover's dad seems to deflate a bit. I'll swing around again when this shindig ends. Yeah, you can go home now.
Aw.
You don't have to throw me out of the door. Your sister already in full competition mode come off. For once, Cove looked grateful she was there.
Come on!
We have to go find a table, Mr. Holden. You can talk to Clove after, when you win. Okay. See you in about an hour. Have fun. Did I say that already? My advanced age is really catching up to me now.
Bye.
Bye, Dad. Bye, son. The four of you watched him shuffle out of the library, glancing over his shoulder at Cove one more time.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Holden. Thanks for bringing us. Thanks, Lizzie. I don't know what you're thanking me for. Are you copying Shilio? Distracted, Cove was already glancing around the gigantic library. I want to go explore. What? I said I want to go looking around and see what is in here. But the quiz is starting so soon. That's why we came. Wide at the first sign of conflict, Shilo's eyes darted between Lizzie and Cove. Then you can deal without me, right? You don't need a bunch of people. Didn't your dad say to stay with the librarians? You shouldn't go somewhere by yourself. Cove leveled an unimpressed stare at the both of them, then his eyes met yours. Go over to Clove. You walk over to Cove, averting your eyes from Lizzie.
Seriously?
Cove looked surprised, but happy at the same time. You knew this was one of the things you liked doing with your family, but you chose some time with him anyways. Fine, let's go, Shilio. I don't even know if that's how to pronounce his name anyways. Okay. Her arms folded, your sister stormed off. Shilio had to race to keep up with her. She cares a lot about that. That's how Lizzie is. I don't like it. Since you've been here a lot before, we can play hide and seek. Hide and seek? Not exploring? Yep, if I'm searching for you and you're searching for me, we'll really have to look at everything. You weren't entirely sure how effective that would be, but I couldn't say he wasn't totally wrong. I'll hide first. Decision made, Cove took off toward the back of the library. You already agreed to play with him instead, so you covered your face and waited for 10 seconds. When you look up again, he was nowhere to be seen. You glanced over to the way he went. Code hadn't had much time to hide, but he was already invisible. The place you decided to check was behind the solar system model. Your librarian solar system display was pretty neat. It had planets from the sun on it on out, and had its own little section hidden in the science books. But you saw a tiny pair of familiar shoes poking out from under the earth, so you leaned around it. Hey there.
Hey.
Oh, hey. You turned back to the earth and its tiny moon. From this spot, I think it's supposed to be a solar eclipse. It kind of blocks out the sun. You look at it, tilting your head. He was right. This thing was something you always walked by, but you never really noticed that before. Hide and seek did seem to be working out for finding interesting things.
Okay.
Your turn now. I'm gonna cover my eyes and count to 10. I promise I won't peek. When Cove had his eyes securely behind the palms of his hands, you went to go hide. Near the stuffed animals. There is a place near the toddler's books with a lot of stuffed animals for kids to play with. A tiny section among the boxes of toys and beanbags was almost out of sight if you didn't check too closely. It was a perfect place to blend in, and for a little while he did just that. Unfortunately, all those stuffed animals were also your downfall. As soon as you took a breath and leaned back, one of the press-to-talk sensors went off. "Oh dear, I'm late for a very important date. I'm late for a..." Like a super spy detective on the trail of a diabolical supervillain, which this case was probably you. Cove was there as soon as the White Rabbit started speaking. "Wow, that's loud." "Oh no!" Clearly entertained by a dramatic pretend feint, Cove laughed. "That's silly." "Thanks, I know." He laughed again. He wiggled in a spot far away from the rabbit and gestured to the rest of the library.
Alright.
"My turn again. Start counting so I can go pick a spot." "Okay." Cove darted off before you even had a chance to fully close your eyes. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. When time was up, he was long gone again. There was still a lot of good places to hide, so you figured he was... next to the Kid Detective poster. You figured he was probably near the poster with a gigantic image of a smirking kid detective. Cove could have probably hid in the itty-bitty little reading area next to it. Glancing past the poster itself briefly, your brain registers the words, "Junie B. Jones, don't call her Beatrice," in big, imposing letters. You pause to stare at for a second, thinking, why would I call her Beatrice if her name is Junie? Shaking your head to clear away from the distraction, you tiptoe in to see who was sitting in the comfy chair, and sure enough, it was Cove. But he was so absorbed in the book he was reading that he hadn't even noticed it yet. I don't think most people read while playing hide and seek. Cove glances up at you in one rough motion. "Oh, hi, Luna. I wasn't sure when you'd get here. It took a while." "Not that long. Could have been worse, but it could have been better. Let's keep playing. I'm doing good." He put his hands over his eyes, but before you could run off again, a librarian approached the two of you. "Ah, kids, I've been looking for you." Cove peeked between his fingers at the stranger. "Us? You must be Cove. Your dad told me he'd be waiting by the entrance." Cove blinked, mouth opening like he was going to say something, then glanced down at his pink cast. It's a pretty clear giveaway. "Sure. Is my sister Lizzie with him? She's taller than us and has orange hair." "You're Luna, right?" You nodded. "Phew, I found both of you at once." "That's right, she's with him, and the little guy with the freckles." "Come on, let's get you reunited so we can close up for the night." Ready to go home, you and Cove followed up at front, where the ragtag group of family members and Shirley were all waiting.
Hey!
"There you are!" She was pouting. You could tell from all the way across the room, and it was only so much more obvious as you got closer. "Did you win?" "You came in second." "Hey gang, I thought you had been with them the whole time." "Cove, I'm glad you just didn't go off by yourself at least." Cove glanced over at you, then backed up at his dad.
Yeah.
"Me too." A broad smile spread over Mr. Holden's face.
That's...
"Even so, next time you should." "Cove? Cove?" Cove Dad's glanced around, slightly frantic, but Cove, just like always, had snuck off without thinking to say anything. He is leaving. Cove's trying to be the first one to the car. Honestly, I don't blame him. With a sound burst in speed, Lizzie darted for the exit. Still to be Victor mode, even for something like a race to the right to the front seat. There was nothing else for the three of you to do except for head after them, pretending the librarians hadn't noticed all the commotion. Though Lizzie had been victorious in claiming a window seat in the car, you could tell by her crossed arms and occasional pout that she had still not forgiven your betrayal. Cor hadn't been happy that she shot past him at the last second, and that he had to sit in the middle between you and Shirley. "Did you say you came in second place? That's some good going."
No.
"No, it's not." Leveled another glare at you over her shoulder.
Sure.
"Striving to improve is good too." "I was winning in our game." "Hardly. I was about to beat you." "Hide and seek with just you two? That doesn't even count as winning."
Why?
"Why not? It's nothing special. There's no judges or prizes." You eye to see that she fought so hard to win. That wasn't much of a prize either. Dad? Yes? You could see Cove's that eye in the rearview mirror, suddenly attentive at his son's call. We need a prize. Oh, as a matter of fact. Mr. Holmes focused intently on the road ahead of him as though a suitable award to please Cove might appear before him.
Right.
Well, hey, the big thing on the flyer for this was the chance to win a free pizza coupon, wasn't it? How about I call up a takeout place and we can have pizza at home for dinner? Lucy huffed, pulling arms closer to her chest. Great, now only Cove gets anything good. Right there, I'll ask your own moms if it'll be alright to get for you kids to have some. Thanks, Cove's dad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Holden. Yeah, thanks, Dad. You're welcome, I'll do what I can. But you really should have stuck with the group. The quiz would have been fun. That was the plan when I dropped you off. We stayed together and didn't leave the library. I'm glad for that, I am. There's a lot of trouble you can get into even if you do have a buddy along for the ride. Just be careful next time. I worry about you, and I bet Luna's parents wouldn't want them to run up unexpectedly either. Okay, son?
Okay.
That's my boy. Now, enough gruff from your old dad. Let's decide what kind of toppings you want to get. Pepperoni. Sounds good. Anything else? And the conversation continued from there. What debates on what was the best upon the pizza for the rest of the drive. Miss Holden wanted anchovies, and the other three cards had to band together to explain how gross they were. The way Cove's dad laughed up at the front seat made you wonder if he was doing it on purpose. Still, the promise of pizza was appealing, even if it did have to come with the mandatory sad order of Cove. It was a shame that you hadn't been able to do the quiz, but skipping it for one you didn't hurt, it was worth it. That's adorable. Let's do some shopping. Come back before it gets dark, alright, sport? The familiar voice drifted across the street and you drew your attention away from the snail you had been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off of his face from where the breeze was blowing over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you when you first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Cove's dad seemed to feel he gave somehow, or maybe made a noise, because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He caught you. He looked happy to see you, but he still felt a little weird for getting caught. You gotta learn how to be more sneaky. He brushed your hands together to free them of sand and then jogged over to join the two.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Luna? Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's lots of snails around here. Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Cove is about to go hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? He shrugged. Cove was in the process of making a similar motion. You didn't have anything else to do, and you hadn't been to the stores in a few days. Maybe there's something new to look at. Maybe? Is that okay?
I guess.
I was gonna go by myself, but I guess it is. You don't have to. Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. Found it odd, since your mom's only seen him to have cards in theirs. Here. He leaned over to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Sure.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he strained back up, the bill in his hand still out toward the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second, slipped in his pocket. Then with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. He followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove strayed toward the gentle tide creeping up on the sand, and he fell into the place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there wasn't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. He took a deep breath, enjoying the scent of the salted ocean air. When he looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and he slowed down and waited for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for shells? Cove started to start a little sound of your voice and mumbled, sort of. Excuse me. If you see any, you can let me know. You can manage that. You dropped your view to the sand, walking carefully so you didn't step on any. You're good at finding shells, and you've seen a lot of them at home, and always found new ones whenever you visit the beach. The accompanying sound of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as walking along, getting as close as to the water as possible without getting wet. Excuse me. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times. Though Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. What did you want to go to the shops for? I need a new sand pail. Yeah? What happened to your old one? Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply for a second.
Whoa.
It disappeared. What? Really? Cove ducked his head down, yamming his fingers behind his back. He didn't seem like he was going to continue, so he nudged his arm. How did it happen? Well, Cove opened his mouth and shut again, considering. I took it to the beach one day. When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. You left it there? Nope, it was not at the beach when I went back. And you lost it. It disappeared.
So...
What about you? What do you do up here? I like building sandcastles. Last summer, Lizzie and I built one that was as tall as me. And sometimes they have sandcastle building competitions down by the boardwalk. Cool, I bet you could win. You smile at Cove. Maybe the two of you would build one together one day. Once you reach the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chattering of people enjoying the lovely summer day. Calls of birds trying to find bits of food left behind. Lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniff the area as you walk beside Cove. You can smell the ocean, but there was other scents now too. Pizzas, pretzels, hot donuts. Ooh, hot donuts sound good. It was nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. There's so many things to do, and you didn't know where to begin. Looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look of his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathering near a few tables with the large colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander. In the center of the crowd, there was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read "The Amazing Alexander" in glittery golden script. Wait, why tell people his name if he already has it on the sign? Cove hummed with an understanding, then turned to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began shuffling into cards. Maybe we could stay and watch? Cove glanced back at the man. He then briefly lifted his arms up of his sides before returning to them to place. You grinned, waving him to follow you as he raced back to the standing crowd. With that, it began. Magic Man pulled one card of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. There's a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers and the card just disappeared. Whoa! Amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head, looked directly at you. You reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? Nothing. It was true. You didn't keep anything behind there. He smelled like popcorn and candy when you stepped closer, and you wrinkled your nose in confusion as you watched him. You felt a tug, and then you pulled the 4 diamonds from out behind your ear. What? You know that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but still, you didn't know how you done it. There was a light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin, instead of being a normal circle. And this one is for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant. Wow. Now you're really grateful he chose you. And after that he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not with the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Cove spoke plainly when reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. At least you had a fun time. You saw a magic trick and got a great balloon. That was more than enough to make a worthwhile event. You thought that if you could find a card to practice with, maybe you could make it disappear too. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side that there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. You picked up a kaleidoscope. Oh, these are cool. You shift your balloon string to your other hand so you could bring up the Mysterio tunnel to your eye. A whole palette of colors appeared right in front of you, spinning to all kinds of different shapes as you twisted the end of the tube. Cole picked up one and looked through it, twisting the tube at the end. After a second, he set it back on the rack, moving to the other side of the stall. You went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Are you having fun? Cove didn't answer straight away, and after a few more moments, you thought he wasn't going to say anything at all. A little. When Cove moved toward some stalls nearby, you followed beside him. When Cove looked at sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains set on it. They were sewn in shapes of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read, "Handmade," standing proudly in front of. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle. You picked up the dolphin. Your hand stopped on the dolphin, so similar to your balloon animal. It was made of bright material that caught the sunlight when you picked it up. You remembered once seeing a pod of dolphins swimming out in the distance at the beach, jumping out of the water and splashing as they dived back in again. That was a great day. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price so your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Though that changed day you met Cove and you said you still had the $20 bill Mr. Holland gave to you hidden away in your room. It was a grand sum of money, but you couldn't spend it on something that was at home instead of in your pocket. Maybe you will have to ask your moms to bring you here again one day now that you knew what you wanted. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh, it's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine. You don't have to. Cove didn't mind that. He took the keychain from his hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too. My dad told me to. He smiled, pleased to have things worked out. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you, too. He had to remember to thank him next time you saw him. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins docking together and spiraling around in the air. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove. Yeah? I really like this keychain. Thank you. Cove shrugged, looking at the sea creature with impressive eyes. Cove looked further down the street where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's go get some food. Yeah. We were wandering around for a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as of the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over you. Your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamony, and got one with chocolate. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed you a pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It had tiny marshmallows on it, and it was dripping with chocolate, just how you like it. Your moms didn't like you to eat too much sugar, but this was a special occasion. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit down. These balloons are going to make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his still balled up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere where it wouldn't get sandy, you tug the balloon dolphin of Cove's hand and tie a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remained attached, his smile satisfied. Can you do it for me? He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat around with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and the string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching of your pretzels. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time you had finished your pretzel, you were done before Cove. It was boring not to have anything to do. You pulled the string on your balloon back down to your level, then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned to face toward the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining parts of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. My name is Merryweather. He is the Prince of Dolphins. He wears a crown made of seaweed, and all of his friends are merfolks. Every now and then he makes friends with a kid and let them ride on his back. You sighed, wishing you could meet a real dolphin like Merryweather. What's yours? Cove considers this question, placing a balloon against the table and resting his arm across it in contemplation. With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Gasp! Oh no! For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. You offered to give Cove your balloon. You can have my balloon instead if you want it. Cove looked at you, frowning. I don't want yours. Oh. You felt bad for Cove, but you were secretly glad. You really liked the little dolphin, and you weren't too eager to give it up. Cove spent the remaining outing sniffing, and he didn't say much else. Passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back in the late afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day drawing to a close. It had been nice for the most part. Hopefully there wouldn't be any more tears next time. We have enough time for maybe one more. Let's try this. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of birds chattering outside the windows while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly, a light came into Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave in her energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyway, so are you stuck inside telling everybody it's too busy to play?
Why? Duh.
I said why, and it'd be fun, duh. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use a phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove.
What do you think?
What, do you want to? I bet we could come up with something else. But that's what I was gonna do, and it's not fun when I play pretend by my adults by myself. Do you do that a lot? What to do? Looking at Lizzie, it seemed Cove felt he could understand where she was coming from, and he sighed. Do you not really not want to play Nana? It was clear you wanted some way out, but still felt guilty about it. Okay, I'll say. I hope this is as fun as you're promising it'll be. Lizzie looked at you deadly serious. It's the most exciting idea I had all week. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while he watched. After a few seconds, she clasped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Luna, you and Clove can be a beach volleyball player and a gymnast or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults? Yep. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Luna? Don't these choices sound super cool? Wanna be that, huh? Isn't there anything else we can be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Oh, come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, he sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it now. He thought over the list of possibilities. Beach volleyball, gymnast, or tennis. Out of all of them, you preferred to play as a gymnast. Couldn't spend all afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, then you might as well practice them inside. There wouldn't be as much space as there was outside, but you can still try. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be a gymnast.
Alright!
How about you, Cove? I picked volleyball. Should've known. Okay, so Luna, you're a famous gymnast, and Cove, you're a popular beach volleyball team, and Lizzie's ponytail bob, and she probably stretched your arms wide. We're Olympic athletes who competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem to have all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyways, Lizzie marched back and forth in front of both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all the gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned to him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Cove, your team won bronze. Luna, you barely missed out on a gold and got silver. It's more real if we're not in first place. Silver's not bad, nice. May not be first place, but you knew silver medals are so really good to get at the Olympics. But it isn't gold.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. And you're not the one who did. And you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. It wouldn't make any sense. No way. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make a point, pretending to swing a club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking back where he lived as a doll appealed to him. Apparently, because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to leave it on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like a normal house here on the sheet. On it, right on the sand by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You haven't even had a chance to choose where you want to live. It's not very fun to smart Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and cells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half tall, a head taller than him. I don't give a list of things to pick out from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are you even playing pretend if I can't imagine anything?
Jeez.
Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushes red, her hands balling into fists at her sides. It's not impossible, and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seem to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, you thought... You're tired of deciding between the two of them. You didn't even engage in the bickering, instead dreamt of your own dream house. And you weren't going to share your idea with them either. You already knew a good one. You can swim wherever you want to if you live on the beach. You can still swim anytime you want to from where we live now. Being a little close doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. get what you want. This game doesn't make any sense.
Ugh.
It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You have no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seems like the two of them would just keep working at each other as long as they could. Nothing you said so far kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a green card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed over to her, hanging on the hem of his shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, little nuts, time to go. Ready to go.
You alright with that?
So you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove is still glaring at Lizzie, her face flushed with anger. I can go by myself, but... While giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawing tight.
Huh?
Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? Told the truth. You were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. His sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth, I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was...
That's enough.
No buts. We both know you can show a great time when you put your mind to it. You're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung up her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it's his fault too, but it's over. Alright, better get a move on.
Let's go.
Nilana, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, noticed during the car ride to the golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents know she was in the mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you like to listen to. You chose a song that you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe it would cheer her up. You were happy to see her brighten her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell she really liked it, so you sat with your mom to try to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of the sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of the sight, dripping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your mom took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting, and you hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that it all helped Lizzie be less angry. When the car ride home was quiet, with only the radio proving escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out of the window. She knew what she was coming to when you got back home. Clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning on your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silence. No one spoke, only unbuckled the seatbelt and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes. She propped her hands on her hips.
So,
now then, Mr. Holden's car is in the driveway, so she's back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day is done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. You had ducks, so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good, let's move this on to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, and the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulders as they walked side by side. You watched him from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. Being a tattletale didn't feel any good, and you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Still, your mom's asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. The four of you stood around the kitchen in the lopsided square, all eyes on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. When Mom reached over and pressed the button on the base, suddenly you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple times and stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through on the other end. Evening, Holden's residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden, it's Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie May, what a surprise. But of course you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though it definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff, Nearly, Luna, and here too. Good evening, we're sorry to bother you so late. He spoke up to say hello too. Hi, Mr. Holden. Gang's all here, huh? Something the matter? His voice grew a little bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's gonna be okay. Lizzie and Cove got in a bit of a fight today, and we were hoping the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Cove didn't tell anything about that when I come home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it does seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyways, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There's some shuffling on the other end. He must have not gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's somebody on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was a muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lucy just called so she could talk to you. It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since he couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know, Dad told me. Cone's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One certain look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just want to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too because she sighed quietly. I want gold. Lizzie was momentarily stunned by his silence by the demand. You couldn't understand why that mattered so much to him. Alright, you win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. Sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. He wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. It had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want to. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his son and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded in agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off to the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mommy and Mom returned to the phone after taking off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. I'm glad that this was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mommy and Mom weren't upset either. everything was finally back to normal. With that, though, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. And with that, I'm going to call it here. I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path wherever they might lead you into the future. Bye everyone, and see you next time.